Hey, welcome to Exchange. That's some very good news. Let's talk about student loan extensions post May 1st and how this affects the U.S. economy and overall consumer debt levels. So this article came out last week. This is from The Hill. It wasn't picked up that much in the media, but basically the White House is considering another pause in student loan payments. And what we're looking at here is two options. Either option A is loan forgiveness of some kind pre-May 1st, or option B is basically extending the deferral post May 1st, maybe through the summer or the fall, or maybe even a year plus potentially, bring us out of COVID and obviously kind of the Ukraine crisis right now. We have high inflation and everything else. But yeah, this article came out yesterday. It's another article from Insider. This is from March 9th. So basically, the Department of Education stopped warning basically people with student loans that actually, hey, May 1st is the start date again, get ready to repay and everything else too. Biden's DOE basically said, hey, pause that entirely, hold fast. We're going to figure something out behind the scenes. So you might get an executive order dropping maybe later in March or potentially in April at the latest, potentially, to have a new basically deferral date, which this is great for overall student debtors right now. More time to get back on their feet, kind of post-COVID, get back in the workforce and everything else too. So this is really a positive sign. And we're looking at, I'm going to show you the stats in a minute, but student loan payments, it's almost like a negative stimulus for the economy. And right now, the economy needs all the help it can get right now. So I've shown this graph in a previous video on student loans. So this is from the New York Federal Reserve. They publish this every month. They updated numbers. What you see here in orange is basically your non-housing debt, so basically non-mortgage based debt. And really student loans right now are about 40% of this orange box right here. So you see basically right now for like total debt servicing, 40% of this orange box is basically gone. So really our actual true debt right now in the U.S. economy that's actually being you're actually paying for right now is roughly $14 trillion. If you include student loans, it's roughly $16 trillion. That's a massive increase. So imagine increasing like total student debt, or total debt in general by a month by 10% plus. That's just a massive increase for a fragile economy, which we're at right now. I'm going to this little next graph. This is from the Federal Reserve, the St. Louis Fed, some of the data they track. So what this graph basically shows is household debt service payments as a percent of disposable income. So basically how much income do you have that's disposable and how much of that income actually goes to servicing debt. By servicing debt, I mean minimum payments right here with principal plus the interest due that month. That's all it's saying right here. What you see right here is really since post-COVID with wage increases, more economy, more cash in the system overall. This has gone down quite a bit, which is why we've seen this massive boom in 2020, 2021, and part of 2022. Is because overall consumers have more cash that's basically available. It's not debt related overall. But this is going to change though too. This is what's going to happen. We're going to see basically an uptick, probably about 1 to 2% roughly. So right now we're at 9.2%. Looking at here, historically in 2015, 2018, about 9.5%. So even a 1% uptick, we're over 10%. We're well above norms for the 2010s kind of decade overall. So we might end up potentially in the 10 to 11% range once student loan payments actually kick in entirely because the total debt load actually has ballooned in the last 2 years. It's definitely gone up quite a bit. So it's going to be a large shock to the actual economy. And that's why Biden looked at this and was like, hey, this is almost like a negative stimulus going to hit the economy May 1st if he doesn't do nothing at all. So it's definitely a bad situation. This is the last graph. This is the personal savings rate. So basically, how much of your income are you saving per month? And really what you see right here is, obviously the big COVID spike, but pre-COVID is about 7.5%, 7.5%, somewhere in there. Obviously COVID hit, things shut down, you can't spend money easily, you're still making money, so obviously you see that big uptick right there. So all of a sudden everyone has cash on hand, which is really why we're seeing this inflationary kind of environment we had last 2021 and into 2022. But look at here right now in the latest data from January 2022, we're at 6.4%. We're already actually below the savings rate pre-COVID. And if student loans kick in again, you're also going to have that potentially go to low sixes or potentially even the fives right there. So it's going to get very, very bad. And this is why this whole idea of hey, long-term macroeconomic inflation, long-term multi-year inflation of 3, 4, 5%. It's just not going to happen because the middle class and lower class consumers in America with student loans they're going to be in trouble, and they're going to drive this economy basically. And basically almost a stagflation environment. That's why this whole idea of high inflation, I don't think it's going to happen just because this number's right here showing, hey, Americans are running low on actual cash potentially for this by summer or this fall, really post-COVID. And what's going to happen is a really big question mark. That's what Biden looks at as, hey, if we have a student loan shock in May 1st, if it hits hard, especially in this kind of high inflation environment right now, also post-Ukraine, potentially hopefully by that point environment, it's going to be a massive headwind for us for the U.S. economy. Hey, so if you have student loans, definitely drop a like. If you like the channel overall, definitely subscribe. It's a pretty new channel. And yeah, hey, hopefully May 1st is pushed back and we'll see what happens next, month and a half or so.